Mhm.
That's perfect, bro. That's perfect. Uh, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to both ends of the table. This weekend gave us plenty to talk about, but instead of both of us going back and forth, I'm going to be taking the reins today, and I'm going to be interviewing Steven, breaking down what he saw in the games and challenging some of his takes. Think of it as a one-on-one film session, only this time the tape is Steven's opinions. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I'm doing fantastic. I had a great weekend. There was a lot going on. The games were on, and everywhere I was, they seemed to be playing. So that's how you know it's kind of a big deal, and that's what we're here to talk about. Let's get straight to it. The first
Oh,
game I
gonna
saw
dive
on my,
dive
I
right
just want
into it, huh?
let's step right. There's a lot to talk about, brother. We're gonna just get right into it. I
All
was
right,
at
all right.
breakfast in Corpus Christi Saturday morning, and above my head, I was watching to what I thought was a disaster unloading.
All
The
right.
Texans and Archie Manning just we're not having any kind of rhythm at all. So let's just start with that game. I want to know what are your opinions. First thoughts, performances analysis. How did Archie Manning perform against Ohio State's defense in Week 1? Does that shape the narrative around his potentials as Texas QB1? Was his average debut a sign of growing pains or a reflection of Ohio State's defensive strength? What do you think of? What do you think?
Well, I don't think that he definitely didn't play up to expectation. I'll give you that. That's my opinion on it. He didn't play up to expectations, right? There was a lot of hype going in there. But he only had two starts under his belt, and they were both against unranked teams. It was UTSA, Louisiana Monroe. So those were teams that he just pretty much absolutely obliterated. So he definitely didn't play to his full potential, especially for what we thought he was going to play to. But my thing is that after watching that game, I walked away questioning Sark more than I did Arch Manning because I felt that the play calling was god awful, right?
Yeah.
Um, here's something that really stood out to me,
What
and
was that?
unfortunately, there I couldn't find any statistics on it. So there's no actual stats. I'm sure there's some football guru guy, or I'm sure there's some website that's out there that calculates this stuff, but I couldn't find it.
Please let us know.
But what I noticed was Arch taking a lot of snaps under center, which is not like Texas. It's not like most college teams, period. Most college
Yeah.
teams, 99% of the time, they're coming out of shotgun.
Yeah.
Very rarely will the quarterback lined up under center. Maybe they run out of I formation, maybe they run with a single back, something like that. But they were doing it a lot in this game. And when I saw it at first, I'm like, okay, like, all right, Sark, let's see how creative you get with these things, right? But it was not creative at all. And that offensive line could not hold up to the defensive front for Ohio State. Again, they were getting blitzed all fucking day without actually having to, they weren't even actually sending any pressure. I think Matt Patricia blitzed one time the entire game,
Wow.
and it was on that last drive. Other than that, he only sent his front four, and that was enough to contain Arch. Now, again, both are to blame because Arch was making off target throws. It was almost like he felt unprepared, is what it really felt like. It felt like he was unprepared for the game
Yeah.
because he had wide open receivers coming up the middle,
Yes.
and he would
Yep.
just completely blow past them and try to get a shot down the sideline. And I'm like, what are we doing, bro? You got Wingo wide open going up the middle,
Yep.
and you're not even seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it. Again, I know that he was being rushed out of the pocket on some, not all, but he was being rushed out of the pocket on some of those throws. So I get it. But on the ones where he wasn't, he was still he wasn't going through his reads like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. You can't blame one or the other because they're both equally at fault for what's going on. But I do hold Sark to a higher degree just
Hmm.
because, bro, like you've been here before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and in fact, like I got some stats to kind of show what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, so let me
Let's
bring
let's,
that up real quick.
let's dive deep. Let's dive deep into Steven's brain.
So so I started doing some research on Sark because I'm like, dude, like what the hell's going on, man? Like you can't be this, is it it was it really Arch or is this just the norm for Sark? Because again, Sark's known as one of the best offensive minds in college football in today's game. He's known as one of the best, if not the best, offensive play caller. And for you to dial up what you did against Ohio State, knowing that you just lost to them in January to get eliminated to go to the Natty, you figure you'd have learned your lesson and you would have dialed up a different game plan going, knowing that you were going to have to face them again week one. Right. But since
Right.
2023, Sarkeesian holds a 2-7 record against AP top 10 teams, with his recent losses coming twice to Georgia, twice to Ohio State. One of the games to Georgia was the SEC championship. The other one was to Ohio State in the college playoffs, right?
Right.
Outside of that, outside of top 10 teams, he is 22-1 versus everybody else outside of the top 10. 22-1. Now, another big take of mine that I kind of took away from this too was the fucking red zone. The red zone
Atrocious.
efficiency. His play calling in the red zone is terrible. Last year, he rarely let Quinn Ewers throw the football. And we always thought as a fan, because there's a lot of people touting that, like, man, he does not trust Quinn Ewers. And for the most part, nobody else really did either. Like
I was gonna say who did really though.
yeah, like nobody really trusted him. But after watching what we watched on Sunday, or I'm sorry,
Hmm.
on Saturday, it
Yeah.
was pretty clear that it wasn't that he didn't trust Quinn Ewers.
Hmm.
That's just the way that he calls plays. He was lined up at the goal line with 1 to 2 yards to go, and you run 4 consecutive run plays, and you do not march into the end zone. And I'm sorry, but it was the same thing last year. You could not get in the end zone. Late in the season, he tried dialing up, like an Arch Manning package, kind of
Yeah.
similar to the Charlie Strong days when he had the Tyrone swoops, or
Hmm.
when he had Tyrone swoops at quarterback. They used to call it the 18-wheeler package, where they would line up at the goal line. Tyrone swoops would come in at quarterback, and he just marched right through the end zone. So they tried to do something similar like that with Arch last year, especially in the playoffs. Didn't work. Right. Well, now you fucking come out and try a tush push,
Yeah.
a tush push. And bro, like they stood still, they hiked the fucking ball, and they basically like belly flopped on the field. The offensive line. They went nowhere, son. Nowhere. And there was little to no push for Arch either. So
Yeah.
they didn't push him from behind. They didn't do none of that. It was terrible. But anyway, I digress. His red zone efficiency for 2023, he was ranked 120th out of 133 FBS teams in 2023. That's
Wow.
terrible.
That is terrible.
Right. 2024, which was last season, he had a 64% touchdown rate,
Mm.
right? But only
Yeah.
43% against ranked teams.
Oh man.
And again, goes back to his inconsistent play calling and his O line not getting those pushes in short yardage situations.
Right. So let me ask you
So
this.
that's where I'm at with
With
this.
that being said, uh, too soon maybe to talk, but playoff implications. What do you how critical is this early in the Texas year? Are the chances of them securing a top seed? You know, what do we get out of this?
Well, here's the whole I guess here's the whole thing. It's good that we it's good that we got this loss out of the way, in my opinion, right? Because the losses have more weight, they have more playoff implication weight towards the end of the season than they do at the beginning of the season, right? So I'm glad that we
Right.
kind of got this out of the way because that gives us an opportunity to kind of still move up the ranks. I even seen some posts where, I mean, this is probably some raging fan just trying to come up with an excuse, which it is an excuse at the end of the day. But he was like, maybe Sark was doing this so that way, his team doesn't go in here and beat Ohio State and give them the thought that, well, because they beat Ohio State, that we're just going to walk through everybody else, and so then they start to play like shit throughout the rest of the season. Essentially saying like the hangover issue,
Yeah.
right? Like the championship hangover and all that shit. Basically, he was trying to make that kind of excuse. And man, you should have seen the comments on this dude's page. I'm surprised he didn't disable him because everyone was calling him a fucking idiot. Everyone's saying like, "No, bro, you're a dumbass. You're just making excuses," which he was. You know what I mean? But again, I'm glad they got that out of the way. If you look ahead at the rest of their schedule, right? So their next big task is going to come up October 4th. They're going to play against Florida. Florida looked pretty decent right now. They're ranked 13th. Then following that weekend, they're going to go up against OU, and then after that, to finish off the end of the season, or I'm sorry, they're going to go to Georgia November 15th. So that's another good game right there. And then they
Yeah.
got to face Texas A&M last game of the season.
Ooh, Texas Showdown right there, baby.
Yes.
Where's
So
that at?
that's
In
going to
Dallas
be
or what?
this one's going to be in Austin this year cuz last year it was in College Station at Kyle Field.
Yeah.
So this year it's going to be at Texas. Most likely College Game Day is going to be there again. It's going to be fucking awesome.
The
But I think that we'll take the win against Florida. What I'm worried about is Georgia.
Bulldogs.
Yes, because again, that's one of the other teams that we've lost to most recently, especially with a lot weighing in on the line, right? So we
Yeah.
cannot seem to get past the juggernaut SEC teams. And I'm sorry, but we got to figure that part of the football game out. You know what I mean? Like we have to learn
Yeah.
how to come up big in the big games if we want to
Yeah.
have any shot at getting a national championship anytime soon, especially while Arch is here.
So let me ask you this. That goes with one of my topics I wanted to get on was the game impact. Like, was there's been a whole bunch of negative talk, but like, was there any key moments that you saw in the game that showed that Texas could compete with the nation's elite, or did Ohio State just expose all the weaknesses in Texas?
No, definitely. I mean, again, you look at the score, you know, again, we're giving Texas so much shit, but at the end of the day, the score was 7-14.
Right.
If I was talking to my uncle the other day on this because we were talking after the game, and we both said the same thing. If Sark just fixes his play calling, the game's tied going into that last drive, and we most likely have an overtime game first week of the season against two of the hottest fucking teams in college football right now. Like
Dude, the
that would
viewership
that
would fucking just go straight up on that.
that could have easily had game of the year all over it because it truly was a defensive game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Texas defense, man, they held their own for the most part. They let a couple of plays get away from them, and that's what allowed them to score. I can't remember if it was the first or the second time that they scored where we had a lot of defensive penalties get held against us, and that's really what kind of allowed them to score. But again, if Sark doesn't draw up 4 running plays on that tush push where it was a turnover on downs, if he doesn't
Yeah.
draw up, if he allows even one pass, there could be a chance that we score on that drive. At which point the game's tied. Game's tied. You know?
Yeah. And how does that work in college? Do they always go to overtime?
Yeah, well, so I mean, if the games, yeah, they don't end in if I'm not mistaken, they don't end in ties in college. So I know last year they started the new rules because before in the past it used to be that they would line up at like the 20, 25 yard line and they would have to march into the end zone, right? They could settle for a field goal, which if the other team matched, then they keep going on to the next round. But if you scored a field goal and then they scored a touchdown, you lose the game,
Oh, okay.
right? But
Yeah.
more likely than not, most of the time, what they were doing was is that they were scoring touchdowns on each other, just one play after another, after another, after another. And I want to say it was the A&M versus LSU game 2 years ago that the fucking final score was like 77-70.
What the?
It was insanely high, and I think the game ended like 14-14 at the end of the fourth quarter. It was like tied 14 up, and
How does
then
that work?
the OTs, the game didn't finish until there was 70 something points on the board. So they ended up changing the rules last year where the first drive is you score a touchdown. Then and you can kick an extra point. Then the other team has to come back and match. Well, if both teams match each other, then the following round, now it just goes off of 2 point conversions. So you just keep doing 2 point conversions. I think at like the either the 2 or the 5 yard line, you keep doing 2 point conversions over and over and over and over until someone doesn't make it and the other team does. It's something of that nature.
That's fair.
But again, Texas defense stood tall. They definitely
Yeah.
looked good. It was just that I think it had some, the offense is what had question marks, man. He didn't target Wingo as much as he often does. He should have. And again, it goes back to play calling and then Arch is just off throws, man. I mean, he's throwing balls at the feet. He looked like Dak Prescott.
Yeah, he was throwing way off, 5, 6 yards at times. But like other than Arch Manning, this my last question about this with this one. We could talk Arch Manning, but was there any other players, key players that maybe could have stepped up, like the running back maybe, or a key defender?
Well, and so we did have Wisner running the football, but again, we were way too predictable with our play calls. Every single possession started off run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. So it's way too predictable on what we're trying to do here. And so
Yeah,
they would just stack the box whenever, on first and second down, they would just stack the box so that way they couldn't, Wisner can get off on a decent run. Which he didn't do terrible, but it wasn't enough to confuse the defense. I mean, they knew exactly what we were running.
yeah.
So that's that.
That's yeah. That was a that was a big game. That was big news very fast as soon as it all started happening. Of course, all the memes came out and everything. Everyone, Barstool Sports calling him a bust
Dude.
already. Everyone's calling Arch a bust. You think he's a bust, or do you think it's just the first game? Real quick though, I did see a stat earlier. It was about Peyton Manning and his first time playing against a top 10 team like how Arch Manning did. So, first career start, Arch Manning doing 17 for 30, 170 yards, one touchdown, one interception against the number 3 Ohio State. Peyton Manning went 10 for 18, 138 passing yards, two interceptions, no touchdowns against the number 10 Alabama in his first top 10 team. And look how he turned out.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was definitely I'm definitely not going to hold Arch to the fire. I mean, I am going to hold him accountable, yes, but I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire and say that he's a bust, right? Because we have seen what he is capable of. He is definitely athletic, so he can use his legs, which is another thing that a lot of the NFL analysts were talking about is like, dude, like you have a dual threat quarterback on your hands and you didn't utilize it whatsoever up until
Right.
like literally the fourth quarter. But at that point, I mean, you're literally fighting for your life at that point. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was just again, it was very one dimensional play calling, and I put that all on Sark, um, with a little bit of the blame going to Arch that hey, you got to make some better throws. And I know for a fact that he's gonna go back. He's gonna see that tape and be like, "Oh my god, how in the fuck did I not see Wingo right up the middle, wide the fuck open?" You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
multiple occasions, he was like that, and he failed to see it because he was too busy looking at the sidelines trying to throw out. Too many checkdowns, right? Throwing the ball short, then he gets picked off. Like, yeah, it's just terrible.
Terrible. All right. Enough of that one. I know we spent a lot of time on that one, but it's Texas. It's home. It hurts us a
It is
little
home,
more.
man. It is
So
home.
we
Yep,
gotta dig a little deeper into that one. But
for
let's
sure.
move on to another disappointment this weekend. Alabama lost to Florida State
Dude,
in an upset. Florida State upset Alabama was a shocker, dropping the Clemson Tide to #1 in the AP Top 25, their lowest ranking 17 years. What went wrong for Alabama, and how much of a loss is this falling for Callan DeBoer play calling versus players execution? Hmm?
dude, that was the biggest upset of the weekend, my
You think
opinion.
so?
Yes. I don't even know if it's opinion anymore. It's just gonna be straight fact, son. That's a fact. It was the biggest upset of the fucking weekend,
Educate
specifically
me.
because of how bad Florida State University was last year, right? So the previous year they went, if you remember, they went like 13 and 0. Okay. They finished off fourth ranked seeded team, right?
Hmm.
However, their starting quarterback got injured. Um, the second to last game, broke his whole shin or something like that.
Oh no.
It was a horrific injury if I remember correctly.
Oh,
So he
oh yes, I remember.
so he goes down, right? Then they're like, "All right, well, let's see how they're going to do with their backup quarterbacks because they had one game left." Well, they go into that game and they sneak by on the win, so they're like, "All right, cool. Maybe they'll be able to be okay, but maybe they're not okay, right? Because again, they only snuck by on that win." Well, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say the backup quarterback got injured on that game as well. So they were playing with their third string quarterback.
Oh my god, on some fucking Ohio State bull type shit.
And at that point, there was a lot of conversation going on in the sports world with FSU talking about, well, they can't because they're playing with their third string quarterback. We don't want it to be another thing where, TCU plays against Alabama for the national championship and Alabama wins the game like 56-7. So they didn't want FSU walking in into a because again, this was only a four-man playoff bracket. There's only a 14 playoff bracket 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, long story short, Florida gets bounced out, Bama gets in, Florida State's pissed, but then proceeds to back it up with like a 4-9 season last year.
Oh
Like
my
it was
goodness.
it was god awful. I mean, they did absolutely terrible last year. So again, for them to do how bad they did last year and them to come back in here this year and to just fucking just literally just they made Alabama look like a non-ranked team this past weekend. It was that bad. Um, what's
Yeah.
his name? The quarterback from Florida State, right? Tommy Castellanos. Before the game, he said, "quote They don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me."
Yeah, I
Right?
love
And
that
so
mentality.
the Bama players got asked about that in the press conference before the game, and they said something to the like, you know, oh, those will be addressed during the game or something like disrespect will be addressed. That's all they kept saying. Disrespect to be addressed. Disrespect to be addressed. Well, I don't think they did too much addressing the disrespect because Tommy Castellanos fucking made them look stupid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers weren't entirely impressive, but when you watch the numbers don't show just how great they looked on Sunday or on Saturday.
Yeah.
So he finished off the game 9 of 14 for 152 yards. He had 16 carries for 78 yards and a rushing touchdown. Bro, Florida State had 4 rushing touchdowns. They had
Oh my
49
gosh.
rushes for 230 yards.
Man.
And Tommy Castellanos was the leading rusher with 78.
Dang.
The Alabama
So
stats, they rushed the ball 29 times for only 87 yards.
It's just a repeat of last season, because last season Alabama's run defense was exposed, ranking 52nd. So
yeah,
is Alabama's defense identity under DeBoer in trouble? Do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's definitely, it warrants him being on the hot seat now. Okay. And
already?
I think so.
How long has he been the coach?
He's only been the coach for a season. Last season was his first season.
So one season, one game, hot seat.
But here's the deal. And let me show you. I have another little thing for that too. Let me show you my little visual here.
Okay? Yeah, let's see your brain, Stevie J.
All right. So the 2024 season, he posted a 9-4 record. Okay. Against SEC opponents, he was 5-3. Alabama missed the playoffs for the first time since 2007, which is the year that Nick Saban went into Alabama.
Became the head coach.
Mm-hmm. So his most notable losses, right, from his 9-4 record was against Vanderbilt, which everyone was like, bro, are you serious? That was a non-ranked team. They lost 35-40. But then he followed it up towards the end of the year, if not, it was the last game of the year, against Oklahoma, who was absolutely atrocious last year because they had a true freshman starting quarterback. And they go down 3-24 against Oklahoma, who was not even ranked. So then they get put into this no-name bowl game, ReliaQuest Bowl against Michigan, who was also atrocious last year. They lost that game 19-13. So you don't even win a bowl game. And then again, you followed up this season with FSU 17-31. FSU wasn't even ranked to start off the season. They are now.
Yeah.
But they weren't even ranked to start the season, bro. And you're going to go down like that. So I'm sorry, bro. Like, there's a lot of people that are gunning for his head. And I think it's very warranted.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that they got a tough set schedule in the SEC.
But yeah, I mean, that's just it, though. Alabama has always had tough schedules. They've always opted to play some of the toughest opponents, and they've always made them look elementary, right? And so that's kind of the standard nowadays with Alabama, right? That's the standard that Saban set at Alabama, is that we are going to be dominant and we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But you got Johnny Manziel going on air, or doing an interview with somebody, and he said the aura is completely gone from Alabama. And he said, quote, nobody's scared of them boys. And I'm sorry, but that's a hard pill to swallow if you're an Alabama fan. It's hard to hear that.
Yeah.
Because for
the history in that name.
Close to 20 years, man, you have been the standard across college football.
Yeah. When our team played Bama, it was like, fuck, we got to play Bama.
And I mean, you think of the talent that has come out of there, bro. It's insane. You got Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Tua, Jalen Hurts, right? Like there's a lot of guys. I mean, that's just to name a few. I mean, there's a ton.
That's like,
more.
It's recent.
These are just recent ones, yeah. But I mean, there's so many freaking players that came out of Alabama that are stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That were absolute studs. I mean, some of these guys are going to be future Hall of Famers that all came out of Alabama. That was them. That's what Alabama was. That's how the fans have kind of known Alabama to be. And so I know there's a big question going around, like, was Kalen set up to fail?
Yep.
Right. And it's tough to answer that question because you want to say yes, but at the same time, it wasn't like Saban left you and you had nothing. Right?
Yeah.
You
it's Alabama, for crying out loud. You have everything. He built
Yeah.
a kingdom.
Yeah, you still
He had
have all. You still had all of his
the best
players.
equipment.
Yeah, you still had all of his players. So I mean, again, I don't. It's. I don't think he was set up to fail, but I don't know. It's tough to judge on that one, man. But I doubt, honestly, like for me, if he
Yeah.
doesn't make the playoffs this year, I doubt he sees year 3.
Well, what's one thing if you can point out one thing? What's the immediate thing that they need to focus on for them to start winning
Offensive line,
games?
offensive line,
O-line.
O-line, all day long.
Quarterback is good. He's just not getting time, or they can't
Well,
run the
dude, he
ball. What
got
is it?
absolute bum rushed again. Whether they were blitzing or not, dude, all it took was the front four of the defensive line for FSU to get to the quarterback. I think I had some stats here. I think they sacked the quarterback 3 times. They forced a fumble. So yeah, I mean that their defense was legit. That quarterback had no time. I mean, so you got to fix the O-line. You got to give the quarterback time. It's hard to judge a quarterback when they're running around for dear life as soon as they hike the
He
ball.
can't even do his job.
He can't even do it. He can't even go through the reads. I mean, the same thing with Arch Manning, right? Same thing. Couldn't get through his reads, but in the case that he did, he wasn't making good throws. But still, you know what I mean? So yeah,
funny.
That's my take with the whole
Alabama situation.
Alabama situation. Yes, sir.
I mean, it's just such a high standard. You would, the fans over there, they just expect it all, or they, or get them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, make the fans happy at the end of the day.
And if you ever get a chance, bro, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but you ought to hear. So they have this super fan, Alabama does. His name's Legend.
Yeah.
And he's a very, very known guy or a known fan around the Alabama world, right? And he joins this radio station pretty much every week when they play to give his personal take, his personal opinion, shit like that, right? He was extremely critical of Kalen DeBoer last season. Well, this loss sent him over the board. I mean, dude, it is hilarious. You ought to hear his video clip or his sound clip from that radio station because, man, he was just going off, son. It was hilarious. But anyway,
funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
More losses in college. Of course, with the loss is another win. LSU got a win over Clemson. LSU's strong defense performance against Clemson has analysts calling them a legit national title contender. What specifically about their game plan or key players like Whit Weeks and Dom McKinley makes you buy into the hype?
Well, I'm not buying into no hype just yet.
Nope.
No.
Tell us why. What's going on?
Well, let's just start here, right? So this was a pretty big game because Brian Kelly lost 3 straight season openers, right? And the backstory to that was he was the head coach of Notre Dame. And he left Notre Dame because he said that he would have he would be able to get LSU to a national championship quicker than what Notre Dame would be able to. Right? Those were his words, not mine. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't know the exact quote that he used, right? So I'm paraphrasing that, but essentially he said something along those lines, and that's why he was leaving Notre Dame. And albeit he had a pretty decent, team at Notre Dame, but he left nonetheless. He went to LSU and proceeded to not make the playoffs in all 3 of his years. And then on top of that, guess who was in the national championship last year? Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Exactly. So he was eating his words, right? That's essentially what it was. So it's like, dude, enough's enough. You talked all this shit. The fact is that Notre Dame got better with you not there, and LSU seemed to actually get, I don't want to say worse, but they ain't get better. That's for
If you
sure.
ain't getting better, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yeah. So that was a huge topic. That was the big thing, right? But with one streak coming to an end, another one starts, right? So but that wasn't necessarily the story of the whole thing. But Dabo Sweeney was also on a 2-game losing streak as well for season openers. So now he's on a 3-game skid, right? So now it's Dabo Sweeney on that 3-game skid for season openers instead of Brian Kelly. But if you watch the game, it was an evenly matched game. I mean, the quarterback
Yep.
stats were almost identical. Garrett Nussmeier was 28 for 38, 230, 1 TD. Cade Klubnik was 19 of 38, 230, 1 interception. The game was 10-17. It was a one-score game. Clemson was driving down the field on the last drive, right? And that's really what kind of just settled it in was as soon as they got past or as soon as they got into the red zone, I think they were like just inside the 20. LSU's defense stepped up and forced Klubnik out of the pocket. They rushed him. They got a free pass rusher through the line, and they rushed him, and it was an off balance throw, led to an interception, and ultimately a turnover on downs because it was a 4th down play. So it was a very evenly matched game. But when you look at them, I don't know that LSU is good enough to still go to the playoffs. Or maybe not maybe they can make the playoffs, but I don't know that they're good enough to make noise. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Like they
They're gonna
probably won't make a deep
sneak into the playoffs.
they won't make a deep run.
If
That's
that,
for sure. Yeah,
I
I just
got you.
don't think Nussmeier has it in him to when it comes down to it where you need your quarterback to make those 1 or 2 plays that's going to take you to the next round. I just don't know that he has it quite in him. Just maybe he finds a groove though. Maybe he finds a groove throughout the season. But right now, I just can't sit here confidently telling you that okay, yeah, LSU's a force to reckon with. I can't say that.
Yeah. So because there's a lot of hype to this game, so I had a question for the fan hype.
All right.
How far do you think they can go in this season, and what's the biggest obstacle they'll face? That's kind of like what you were just talking about.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was alluding to.
They won't make a deep run, but what do you think? Is he the biggest obstacle, or what's the biggest obstacle you think?
Well, again, so Nussmeier, right? I just talked about it right now. I don't think Nussmeier has it in him to kind of find those 1 or 2 plays that he's going to need that's going to get them over the top, right? If you look at their schedule, okay, they're going to go up against here they're going to go up against Florida. They're going to go up against Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma. So that's 7 ranked teams that they're going up against.
Wow.
Now, Oklahoma, again, I don't know how they're going to fare, because again, their quarterback's on year 2. Alabama, we obviously just saw them, so it's like, oof, if they don't figure it out, that's an easy win. I think Texas A&M gives them a run for their money, and I think South Carolina too. I mean, South Carolina, they're coming up, so I think that's another potential loss right there that could face. But the good thing is that with the new playoff thing that they have, where it's eight teams, right? You can afford, in some cases, you can afford 2 losses, depending on who they are to, and depending on how late in the season they happen. That's why I said with the whole Texas game, I'm glad that they got the loss out of the way now, because they hurt less in the beginning of the season than they do at the end. So that's where I'm at. And as far as the hype goes, again, I don't see that there was a whole lot of hype necessarily around the team as it was more towards the coach, Brian Kelly. Because rest
Gotcha.
assured, had he lost this game, his ass would have been. I mean, he would have not been. He would have not liked being on that plane ride home. He would have been fucking sweating, wondering if he even has a job by the time he got back to Louisiana. Because they were that adamant about him losing 3 season openers in a row because of what he said about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And he's just failed to produce. So
Brian Kelly, in my opinion, has never been the best coach. I never really cared for Brian Kelly.
yeah, I mean, he hasn't been terrible. He ain't no Nick Saban, right? It's kind of hard
No.
to compete against something like that. But again,
He's no
it's
Harbaugh
just,
either.
but dude, like his tenure here at LSU has not been good. It really hasn't. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. I mean, there's a lot of football left, man. We're only on week 1.
We are only on week 1. And let's talk about the end of week 1 to what I think is the biggest disappointment of the week. UNC versus TCU, 48-14. What the fuck happened there?
Ooh,
that's my first question. I think there's no other way to put it.
that was rough, dude. That was rough.
Bro, you got an NFL fucking coaching staff. A Super Bowl at that, proven NFL coaching staff.
You got Mike Lombardi as GM. You got Bill Belichick at head coach. You got Steve Belichick, defensive coordinator. And you got Freddie Kitchens, offensive coordinator. Those are all former NFL head coaches. Well, except for Steve Belichick. But, I mean, he was in the NFL as a defensive coordinator with the Patriots when Bill was there, right? But and these are all Rams, guys that I believe so. But again, nonetheless, these are NFL coaches. You know, that you have coaching college. Now, don't get me wrong. Did I think that Bill is going to take this team and just go straight over the top and, oh my God, holy hell, and pull out like a Nick Saban or something like that? No. But when you allow 41 unanswered points happen, when you don't complete a pass for over 2 hours, it's like, holy hell, what in the shit is going on around here? You know what I mean? It was that bad.
On top of that, you had players that looked confused. They're tripping over each other. Looks like some of them are pulling the wrong way, maybe. Like,
well, the offensive line,
it looks like it comes down. It looks like it comes back to coaching. Just from what I saw, some of the highlights of the game, it looks like the problems look like it's coming back. It goes back to coaching.
Well, either coaching but also too, here's another thing, right? Here's something that nobody's really talking about. North Carolina has over 70 new players on that team.
Oh my goodness.
So they don't have a whole lot of time together. It's not like they've been together for, years and this is an established program. I mean, think about that. Over 70 new players that are on the roster. That's, and all you had was just one off season to figure something out. Like, that's why I said I didn't have high expectations for Bill coming in here. I just didn't think it was going to be that bad. Holy fuck.
And then the expectations of playing under Bill Belichick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Bill's going to be fine. I think the Tar Heels are going to be fine too. I mean, again, because at least from the average fan perspective, I don't think the average fan even had that much expectation. I think it was more of the media hyping it up rather than the fans. I think that the fans were excited to have somebody like that because they obviously think that, okay, yeah, you know what, we could be competitive. Now that part of the deal didn't kind of showcase itself in this first game, but I think just over time
Mhm.
as they develop more chemistry and Bill can analyze the tape with his players and tell them, show them like, hey, like look at what happened here. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you did do or whatever. But then at the same time, bro, Gio Lopez, one of the highest paid NIL guys in the damn college. I think $4 to $6 million he's getting paid in NIL money. And
Woo!
you finish off the game 4 for 10, 69 yards, one touchdown, one interception. What in the ass is that? Then you have Max
What
Johnson,
quarter was that?
which, well, I can't remember if he got hurt or if they pulled him, but um, the
It was a
majority of
back
that
injury.
the majority of that came from the opening drive. But Max Johnson comes in, he goes 9 for 11, 103 yards, one touchdown. And in my opinion, just based on me watching the tape, as I'm watching that game, it's like Max seemed more poised, but he has more experience too. I think this is like his fourth or fifth year in college, because he's had a flurry of injuries. He's been around, to different colleges already. Um, so I mean, he has more college experience. I don't know if he necessarily has more playing time, but he has the experience of being there, right? So even watching it, you're gaining experience. Being there on the sidelines, you're still gaining experience. So he just looked a lot
Correct.
more
Yeah.
poised to me, but I don't know how that works with NIL deals, right? This guy's getting paid $4 to $6 million on NIL money, Gio Lopez. How does that work if you want to put maybe Max Johnson as QB1 instead of Gio?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, there has to be a small section in his contract saying you can't sit out X amount of games for like non-injury. You know, I would assume
Yeah.
something like that. They would hold a check or two back.
All that stuff is still so new, man. So who knows how the hell that works?
Who
You
knows?
know?
Yeah, who knows?
But
Maybe it's all confirmed money. I mean, guaranteed.
yeah. But
I don't
man, that
know. I really
offensive
don't know
line
too
was
much
just
about
getting
college, being
bullied,
honest.
bro. That offensive line was just getting bullied. I mean, literally, it was like watching, I'm not joking. It's like watching grown men push around 3-year-olds. It was that bad.
Oh man, that's
And to
terrible.
your point, right? But tripping over each other, bumping. That's exactly what's happening. The defensive line for TCU was literally pushing the offensive line basically into each other. And then they would try to do like some play action pass type shit, right? So he's going through his motion of pretending to hand the ball off. Well, he comes turned back around and somebody's right in his face, whether it be a defender or if his offensive line was right in his face, where he had nowhere to run. He couldn't even scramble out of the pocket, and if he did, it would just lead into just bad shit. So
Yeah.
it was bad. But I give Bill a pass, man. If you had to ask me that, I give Bill a pass because again, you
Yeah.
take into consideration the amount of new players that he has. It's his first time coaching in college, and I would assume that he's probably trying to show them more NFL style play, right? And that's
Yeah.
just
And it's
some
not
and
translating yet.
yeah, it's just not translating. It's like, it's like my kids with baseball, right? My kids play select baseball, but then you have little league, right? And little league is like way underdeveloped compared to select baseball. So when these kids come up from little league and they go into select, it's a night and day difference because the rules are a little bit different. It's more advanced, it's faster pace, and yeah, I mean, you can steal, you can, that's stuff that you really can't do in little league. I mean, you can steal, don't get me wrong, but the ball has to be like out of the pitcher's hands before you can start to steal. Um, just little things like that. If you bunt, you can only go, they start, let's just say you start throwing it around and you're making a ton of bad throws and a bunch of errors. Well, you can only advance to second, and from my understanding, on a bunt in little league. Whereas in select baseball, you keep throwing that ball continuously and throwing it over everyone's heads, they can keep going all the way till they get back to home plate. So again, there's just a different level to it. So again, you're asking kids that just came out of high school that probably only had, maybe 15 plays that they practiced to now you're opening up to a playbook from an NFL head coach that's got over 20 years experience. He's opening up to binders and binders of playbooks. It could be a lot.
I would argue it's a lot more, because when I was in high school, I would say we had maybe 30 to 40.
Yeah, and I mean, don't quote me on the amount of play calls that your high school team is going to have. Don't quote me on that.
But they're simple.
I'm just exaggerating a little bit to that, right? So, but they do try to keep it more simpler because again, the mental capacity of a 16-year-old is not going to be the same as a 25, 30-year-old. But still, again, you're going in from a high school playbook to college, which college has their playbook, but then you're getting an NFL head coach that's got 20 years experience, that is the most winningest coach of all time, basically. And you're walking into his mind, and it could be a lot for those players to take in, you know what I'm saying? And then to have them go out and expect it, like in year one, expect them to just go out and perform at a high level. That's a lot to ask out of
on national TV.
Those young players, man. So
agreed. Absolutely.
I give him a pass, man. I give him a pass. He'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be fine.
What'd you do this morning?
This morning?
Yeah, this morning. Did you happen to catch First Take?
I did.
Yeah? What are your thoughts? Did you see the whole David monologue they had?
Yeah, Mulugeta. I think that's how you pronounce it. Mulugeta. Yeah, I saw that one.
I wasn't even going to try it.
What's that?
What are your thoughts on what he said? What were your thoughts on what he said? What do you think was the most important thing you took? What's the most important thing you took from his conversation?
Well, so Stephen A. obviously asked him, he asked him some really good questions. The thing that stood out the most to me was when Stephen A. asked him, what was the deal that he got offered? Because that's what everyone was curious about, right? Was there truly no contact between you and Jerry Jones? Was he really just trying to go through Micah Parsons on the deal and not have the agent involved? It was just stuff like that he was asking him. And so he was just being straightforward. Now, I've never seen this guy at all on camera, which he did address that. Yeah. He was like, he told him flat out, like, hey, like, we don't really like to address media. We try to stay as far away from this as possible. But he felt that in this particular case, because it got so much media attention, and there was a lot of backlash towards him, like a lot of shit talk from Jerry to David. It's like, he's like, dude, like, I had no choice. Mm-hmm. I feel like I have no choice but to come on here to try to tell you my story, so that way you guys know exactly what is really going on behind the scenes. And
yeah,
so come to find out that yes, Jerry did offer Micah a record-breaking contract. It was for $40.5 million a year, which would have put him over, I believe, Myles Garrett, right? At the time, Myles Garrett was the highest paid back then. It would have put him over Myles by $500,000, whatever the case. But then he said that the issues that they were having was Jerry wanted him to sign a 5-year contract. They only wanted to sign a 4. And so he made the deal about that the 5th-year contract was not going to have any money on it, pretty much. Like, all the guaranteed dollars were going to be burned out by year 5. So he would have been playing year 5 on incentive-based contract only, and that's not how they like to do it with the players these days. They like to have a lot of guarantees to where they're getting paid.
Yeah.
But then he
Absolutely. That's what matters.
made a really good, interesting take, and I think that this is where the negotiation started getting a little weirder. Okay, so he made the take of, look at what happened. Look at the scale of the market year over year that it's gotten for players in his position. Right? He said the previous year Nick Bosa got signed 35 million a year. He was the highest paid player back then, non-quarterback. That's a lot of money, right? But then following that, it was 40 million with Myles Garrett. And then following that, it's like 42 million with TJ Watt. I think that's what he's getting paid. 42 million.
I thought it was like
to
40.
Now.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on the TJ Watt deal. But again, he resets the market. And then now you have Micah Parsons that reset the market at 47.5. So he was like, look at it year over year. Last year was 35. This year it's 47. He goes, we go into year 5. Not only is he potentially losing out on 20 to 30 million dollars a year for just that 1 year, but that's not even taking into consideration the markup that it's going to cost for an NFL player that caliber in that position. He was like, by then, in 5 years from now, that market's going to be 60 to 70 million dollars, which is absurd to think about a defensive player getting paid 70 million dollars a year. But at the rate that these contracts keep going, I mean, dude, it is nuts, man. It is nuts what these guys are getting paid.
I'm scared because freaking we have Hunter, who's going to need a payday on defense for the Texans if he keeps showing out. That's going to stir some shit up. Like a shit.
Well, and you got Will Anderson too.
Anderson, there you go. Another one that's going to stir some shit up.
And that's because you got to pay Will Anderson and CJ Stroud pretty much in the same year. You drafted them same time.
At the same.
Now, the only thing that helps them out is they were both first round picks, so they get the 5th year option.
So, yeah.
So
they're on pretty good plans right now.
So let me show you something that I looked up here that I was wondering, because a lot of the thing is a lot of the chatter with the Micah Parsons trade was he worth 2 first round picks? And also 2, why did the Green Bay Packers, why did they give up 2 firsts? And let me see if I can find it here real quick. So basically it's like a non-exclusive franchise tag.
Okay, so back to our conversation we had the other day.
Yeah, so this is just going to pull up on Google AI, but if you Google, let me share my screen here real quick. So if you Google non-exclusive franchise tag, right? Because that was the talk that everyone was saying, was they're like, oh shit, man, Micah could potentially get tagged, right? Which NFL players hate when you tag them. But nonetheless, so there's an exclusive franchise tag and then there's a non-exclusive tag. So if you read right here, the non-exclusive franchise tag in the NFL is a 1-year contract tender given to a player, allowing them to negotiate with other teams. If another team offers a deal, Green Bay Packers, the original team can either match it or receive 2 first-round picks as compensation. The salary for this tender is set at the greater of 120% of the player's previous salary or the current average of the top 5 salaries at their position, with the original team having the option to match any offer the player receives from another team. Because another talk is that why would you trade with the Packers for 2 first-round picks, knowing that they are a very good team? So they're going to be late first-round picks. They're not even going to be top 10 picks.
Yeah.
You're talking that you're going to get between a 25 to 32 pick. Probably even worse than that. You're probably going to be like 27 to 30 range, somewhere in there. So they're not going to be very high picks.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? But that's because of this non-exclusive franchise tag here. So it was automatic that the Packers were going to have to give up 2 first rounds because of that non-exclusive tag. And that's also why he had a deal lined up with the Packers from the jump. So I thought that was pretty
interesting. I wonder how long that deal's
there.
been on the table.
See, that's the thing that nobody really kind of got into, is who all jumped in on the table on that. Who all tried getting Micah Parsons?
Yeah. You know? Who had their fingers in the chicken basket?
We talked about this last week. Right? But Dan Orlovsky was like, if you're the Bills, how do you get off the phone without grabbing him? If you're the Baltimore Ravens, how do you get off the phone with not grabbing him? Now, I don't know if he's just saying those two teams just to kind of throw their names in a pot, or if he knows for a fact that maybe they were in talks with the Cowboys and somehow, some way they got off of that. I don't know. Yeah. But nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty cool interview, because I think it definitely showcased just how fucking stupid Jerry Jones is, because this dude's over here basically trying to cheap his way out of a deal. Jerry Jones kept pressing Micah to do the 5-year deal, knowing damn well that there was no guarantees on that contract on that 5th year. Right? And so a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, you know, Micah just got greedy. That's what it is. But it's like, dude, the average career span for NFL players is 10 years. Okay. So hear me out on this, right? The average career span for an NFL player is 10 years. Right? So if Micah only plays 10 years in the league, that means as soon as his contract is done, he's got 1 year left and he's out of the league. He's gone. You'll never see him again. Right? Because he was a first round pick. So he had the 5th year option, which is this season. This is his 5th year. This is his 5th season. And then he signs a 4-year deal. So by the time this deal's done, the contract's over with and completed, that's 9 years on the market. He depending on how he does these next 4 years, he may or may not get a deal after this. So you're guaranteed one big contract throughout your entire NFL career. On average, you're guaranteed one big contract. You're damn fucking right that if I can make or break from 40 to 47, I'm going to take it all day. Now, I know that the taxes in Green Bay are going to be a little bit different, so I don't know how that works in his favor, but I still think it's a raise from what he would have been making here in Texas. I think it's still like an additional
Green Bay is
$3 million. Even after paying the taxes and paying the agent fees and all that, I think it's still a raise for him. Otherwise, it's a no-brainer. You just stay in Texas. You know what I mean? Yeah. But again, you can't call them greedy when they're only going to get one big contract.
Michigan, right?
Wisconsin.
Does Wisconsin have state tax?
I believe they do.
Wisconsin, as T-Pain says.
I believe they do. I think it's like 7.5% state tax or something like that.
Nah.
No? Was I way off?
Yeah, but 7.65%. Yeah.
Motherfucker, I was close.
No, I mean, it's not bad.
I was close.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I I'm something like a certified CPA, so you know, not really. I'm joking.
Are you?
No, but I did have to. I I did have to learn how to do a 1099 for my wife this past year. That was pretty scary because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I had to get YouTube certified, right? I went to YouTube University and I fucking took my little thing and graduated. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
made some money back, pimp. I was fucking scared, bro, because
Congratulations.
I plugged in her 1099 and I was like, oh no, how are we gonna get this back? And I was like, fuck. I was like, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. At first, I was like, hey, you might need to call somebody because I can't help you, bro. And so I ended up going
Yeah.
on YouTube, bro, and I watched probably like 3 or 4 videos. They were like 15, 20 minutes each. Started writing down all my notes. Like, all right, this is for this. We can write off this. Okay, expenses. Like, I mean, she had legit expenses, right? So I'm like, okay, like, I'm literally like calling her. I'm like, hey, how much did you pay for this? Okay, cool. Do you have any proof of it? Yes, I have it here. Okay, cool. Good. This, that. There you go. Boom. Got all that money back, man. Thank God. And ever since then, I'm like, hey, boy, I'm certified CPA. You feel me? I'm all hot shit right now, baby.
That's funny.
But no,
Taxes
I'm
are
just
scary, bro. I'm
they
tired of
are.
them. I'm tired of them, bro.
They are scary. Here's my take on the whole tax thing. I don't even really want to get into this conversation because we could go an hour, 2 hours on this shit, but I'm gonna fucking say it anyway. Here's my thing that I cannot fucking stand is the property tax. I absolutely fucking hate property taxes. And my feeling is that once you own your house, like if you fully pay off your house, you should no longer have to pay property taxes ever. Ever. And then if you have in your will where your family inherits that house from you, they shouldn't have to pay taxes
They
either.
shouldn't have to pay taxes.
Right. They should 100% fully own that house straight up and should have no freaking bills on that house whatsoever other than just their, light, electricity, whatever, their water, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But property
Right.
taxes, bro.
Yeah.
Now, if that's something that can't be done, then my other take on that too is you should so a big portion of your property taxes goes to the school district that you're zoned in. If you don't have
Yeah.
kids, you shouldn't have to pay school district taxes. That's just the way that I see it. I think that only us who have kids should be forced to pay for the school taxes.
Would that raise taxes on the people who would have to pay taxes?
Well, that's just it. You shouldn't raise it. So whatever it is whatever it is.
But you're cutting now. But now you're cutting out people. I'm not arguing against it. I'm just trying to think of it logically. Like now you're cutting out a whole another group of people that you're getting money from. You're gonna have to equal that money somehow. So the people that are paying taxes, they're gonna have to increase the taxes on them.
Yeah, if you're trying to fucking make the same money that you made before, then sure. But that's the point is that again,
Too much money?
every year you're paying those property. I mean, think about this, right? So I did the math here in Medina County. It was like I can't remember the exact number if it was like $4 or $6,000 in property taxes that I paid just in school district taxes.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
that's one house. And so I did like the Medina County, like how many homes are in the Medina County district, period. And it was, X amount of thousands of homes. And my house is pretty average. I don't have a big lot, right? I'm in a regular community just like anybody else is, right? So if you just factor that in based on an average
Yeah,
lot size,
simple 5-bedroom, 4,000 square feet,
okay,
basic house. You know, nothing
definitely
chill.
not. Definitely not my house. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's like, dude, it's absurd. It's like hundreds of millions of dollars that go to just school district taxes, right? Which, hey, you know what? I'm fine. But if you're making that much fucking money, why are your school teachers so fucking underpaid?
Why are kids still paying for lunch?
I mean, it beats me, man. But that's the thing, right? You're making a fucking killing, and it's because of these people that are in, um, you know, the executives or whatever of the district, the superintendents and shit. They're making a killing off of this crap,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, like it's not right because these teachers, man, they go through a lot, bro. They go through a lot, and for them to
I
be,
can only imagine what school's like today.
oh, today, yeah, bro, crazy. But they're
The
very
entitlement
underpaid.
nowadays, bro.
Well, and here's
Yeah.
the thing, right? So they're underpaid, and then oftentimes they have to fork over money out of their own pocket just to be able to do like special projects with the class.
Yeah, I remember my teacher like every teacher asks that you bring supplies on the first day of school, and it's like, yo, what the fuck? Why? What do we pay taxes for if you need supplies still?
Well, and you can't get mad at the teachers for asking for that shit because, that's something that has to be taken up with the school districts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of money that goes into that shit. So I don't know, man. But again, property taxes, if you own your home, I think that you should not have to pay at all. And also, too, I don't think that if you have kids, if you don't have kids, you shouldn't have to pay for the school district tax because you're not utilizing that resource.
I think if you're gonna tax all my groceries and stuff and everything that I buy, you shouldn't tax my paycheck,
Well, your groceries shouldn't be taxed.
or vice versa, or vice versa.
Yeah, but your groceries shouldn't be taxed.
Well, just anything that I buy.
Now, anything you buy in general, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well, our
stupid.
groceries aren't taxed, right? Yeah, but like anything that you buy shouldn't be taxed.
Yeah, you already pulled
If you're
taxes
taxing
out of
my
my check.
paycheck, anything that I buy,
You already pulled taxes out of my check.
yeah.
And then now I got to go pay a sales tax with the money that's already been taxed. And then at the end of the year, I have to show you how much taxes I paid. And then you get to decide whether or not that was enough and whether or not I need to pay you more. That's even dumber. That right there, my friend, is absolute robbery.
Yeah. Taxes, bro.
Hmm.
That's how you know you get old, when you start fucking hating taxes.
Well, no, getting old is when you get excited for buying like a new ceiling fan or a new pot that you're going to cook with. That's what getting old, that's what adulting is when you get excited for those types of things or when your electric bill's under $100.
Ooh. If I can do that, bro, that'd be crazy. $90 electric bill,
Yeah.
$90 water bill. Oh my gosh.
But
good times. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be.
What's up? What's on your mind right now?
Oh, nothing, man. Just got to get prepared for the next day, and you know, the good thing about
What's going
sports
down
is
tomorrow? What you
it's
got going on tomorrow? Work?
just work. We're gonna do some lawn work, right? Because that time of the year again, where we have to start getting prepared for the dormant with the grass and whatnot. It's gonna stop growing and all that stuff. So it's like, I got to fertilize and do all that stuff. Plus, Steven wants to make a couple of bucks. He came up to me. I make my kids help me with the grass, right?
Yeah.
I had to do it when I
Good.
was younger. I had to help my grandpa, and what do you call it? So he would pay me when I would help him cut the grass. He would pay me, and then like on the weekend, he used to drop us off at the movie theater with like a $20 bill. Me and my cousin, and bro, back then that $20 bill, it would buy you your tickets, it would buy you your popcorn and drinks. So as a popcorn, two drinks, then you have enough money to go play the arcade, right? And then still have 50 cents left over to go use the payphone to call my grandpa to come pick us up from the movie theater with 20 bucks. Nowadays, 20 bucks barely buys you the fucking ticket.
Good time.
You broke up right there. What was that?
I said 20 bucks would probably get you maybe
Yeah, you broke up again, bro.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. I'm on Wi-Fi. Damn, I think I'm getting a late delay.
I'm sure.
You're here. I see you hearing it.
Uh-oh. Well, close this out, my friend.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are we good? All right. The table. I grilled Steven. He survived. Barely. Whether you agree with his takes or think he's completely out of his mind, don't stop with us. We'll be back next time for more football, more chaos, and definitely more and your hot takes.